Okay, you've heard me multiple times now say I'm the program manager for ArchivesSpace, and we are so glad to have you here. The response to this event has been like so gratifying, much more than we expected. So I just sort of wanted to say up front some of the things, some of our objectives for you all. We're sure that you have some objectives for yourself as well. But some of the things that we were keeping in mind that we would hope people would achieve coming out of this event, and you maybe at different points with your ArchivesSpace explorations or implementations. So maybe not all of these apply to you, but I imagine some of them do. So we're hoping you come out of today having learned a little bit more about ArchivesSpace, having learned a little bit more about your peers and how they've addressed challenges in managing and providing access to their collections, that you have an opportunity to share your knowledge and ideas with peers, that you've been able to connect with others or at least sort of identify people that you might want to connect with in the future, and also get ideas for the future. An event like this doesn't just happen. It takes a good amount of work, and I wanted to say thank you to our amazing working group, all from the ArchivesSpace community. So they are Christine Kim from the California Digital Library, Jessica Crouch, who was formerly of the University of South Carolina until last Friday, and is joining us as our ArchivesSpace Community Engagement Coordinator as of April 1st. Leilani Dawson of the University of Hawaii at Manoa, Madeline Sheldon of Lyrasis, Mariella Soprano of Caltech, Megan Firestone of Southwestern University in Texas, Patrick Milhone of University of Notre Dame, Stephen Innes of the University of Auckland, and Venkat Srinivasan of the National Center for Biological Sciences in Bangalore, India. So I also wanted to give you a little bit more information about who's here at the forum today. So we had over 400 people register for at least one of the 3 blocks. We don't imagine that all 400 people will be here all at the same time, but 400 people expressed interest in coming to this event. You all represent 7 different countries. You represent 45 of the 50 United States, plus Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., and you represent a wide variety of institutions with archival collections, ranging from all volunteer-run repositories to academic institutions of all sizes to national libraries and archives. And I would say this is very representative of the ArchivesSpace community as a whole. We asked you when you registered to tell us a little bit about sort of where you were with your ArchivesSpace exploration or implementation. So I thought I'd put up a little chart to sort of give you an idea of what that is. And again, this is very representative, I would say, of the ArchivesSpace community overall. So these raw numbers here represent about 400 people that were registered as of Saturday night, or my Saturday night, I should say. We all here are here from different time zones. So about 17% of you are thinking about using ArchivesSpace, just sort of at the start. Of whether ArchivesSpace might be right for you or not. About 10% of you are in the process of formulating an implementation plan. About 9% of you are in the process of migrating data from another system. About 14% of you have started using ArchivesSpace, but you're still using it in parallel with another system. About a third of you, 36%, are using ArchivesSpace as your only system, and about 10% of you are here, just not really actively considering ArchivesSpace, but just to learn a little bit more. So when we were coming up with the program, we also had to think about, something that could meet the needs of people at those different stages. Now, because 2/3 of you are sort of at a stage that is other than fully implemented with ArchivesSpace, I wanted to just sort of backtrack a little bit and talk about what ArchivesSpace is in a very, basic way. Some things that I think it's kind of important for everybody to understand are sort of how we think about ArchivesSpace. And these are three things that I think make ArchivesSpace particularly exciting. So ArchivesSpace, I think probably the first people think of when they think of ArchivesSpace is it's an archives information management software application. It supports a range of archival functions, including accessioning, arrangement, description, preservation, and access. It's the successor to two widely used open source applications, Archivist Toolkit and Archon. And I think one of the things that has really grabbed the attention of our community is that it was designed by archivists for archives. So by people who knew what they needed to support those things that they needed. And it is today supported by diverse archival repositories, just as what is reflected in the attendance here at the forum today. It fills a common need for archives that still, even now, has few and imperfect vendor solutions. But ArchivesSpace is not just that, and I think that's something that we think about more and more. ArchivesSpace is also a community. It's archivists, librarians, metadata analysts, system administrators, developers, service providers, and more that are working together to create this application. And the application really reflects our values as a community. It's standards driven, it's flexible and extensible in terms of our workflows and how we can add to things over time, even if we can't do them exactly how we wanted to do it the first time. It's customizable and localizable, and it promotes efficiency in workflows as well. This community is also supported by an organizational home, Lyrasis, that provides services and infrastructure that amplify those contributions that the community makes. And it allows sort of the team, people like me, to focus on program-specific activities. And one more thing that ArchivesSpace is, and this is, I'd say, the thing that gets me most excited about ArchivesSpace, is that it's really an opportunity. It's a way to help people manage and make available as much of their collection material as possible, no matter what their institutional setting is. It's a chance to promote adoption of standards and to develop shared best practices. I think we all think that, there's not really one way to do anything in archives, but there's ways that we can think about things in a common way and try to help each other to make things work the best that they can. And it's also a chance to bring people together from different sizes and types of institutions to solve those common problems. One thing that I always want to say when I'm in front of a large group, and especially to a group like this, is that all are welcome. When it comes to ArchivesSpace. ArchivesSpace is open source software. It's free to download and use. We are very committed to that. But ArchivesSpace does have a membership model, and the reason behind the membership model is not to keep people out, but it's to sustain the application and ensure that there are ways to make ArchivesSpace better for everyone. And making ArchivesSpace better isn't just making the ArchivesSpace application better, it's also helping the community and lifting us up to do things in better ways than we could on our own. So events like this are one of those ways that we can make ArchivesSpace better for everyone. And I wanted to say that all are welcome to contribute, whether you're from a member institution or not. So if you get ideas today, or if you're working on things now already that you want to share, feel free to reach out to the program team at any time if you have questions or ideas. So that's pretty much all that I wanted to say to preface everything from the forum today. But I will say one more thing, just in case I don't have a chance to say it later. This forum, as I've mentioned a few times now, this is our first time doing this, and it's definitely an experiment. We need your help. So we want to know what works, what doesn't, and we want to know what you want to dive into more deeply in the future. So we do have an evaluation. We ask that you fill that out when you reach the end of your forum day. That could be now. That could be 11 hours from now when this thing is all over. The link is there, and we'll also be sending that link out in various ways later on. So thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And now I'm going to turn things over for our first presentation to Madeline Sheldon and Anne-Marie Lyon.